Right on time. Right on time. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited about this one.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. Now, it kind of looks like you're coming in live from the North Pole. Did you have to go on site today?
Yeah, they're tax planning up there, and it's really helping them to increase production and decreasing the stress at the North Pole.
Nice, nice. All right, so let's start there, right? Usually we give people a couple of minutes to come in, but we're busy, right? You're at the North Pole, we got family coming in. I've got to go to a sing-along personally. So let's see what we can do. Can you tell us about what is tact planning?
Excellent question. So the word tact actually is a German word meaning rhythm or beat, and it comes from German manufacturing, kind of getting your job site to where it's running more like an assembly line where you're balancing out each task to equal durations. So you think about a car going down an assembly line and how each station, they package the work in such a way that there's enough tasks to take up that same duration, that same rhythm and beat. And tact planning is all about getting your construction site to run on a fluid rhythm and beat, just like we're doing up here in the North Pole.
Okay, so we're all about flow, right?
Exactly. So a lot of companies call it flow planning instead of tact planning. That's an interchangeable term.
Okay, nice one. Well, thank you for that. All right, let's see. So what is inTakt then? So that's tact planning. So what is inTakt?
Excellent. So inTakt is a tool that helps accommodate the process of tact planning. So I think about 6 years ago, I was at a lean conference at an LCI, and I saw somebody whip out this really advanced spreadsheet they built. And I'll tell you, most tact plans are built in spreadsheets these days because modern CPM software just kind of overtangles it and complicates it and produces hundreds of sheets for something that could fit on one sheet. So people manually create these spreadsheets. And this spreadsheet, it had some features I'd never seen before that people have built into tact plans, but only this individual could run it because it was so complex and so beefy. So I decided to create the idea to build a piece of software that makes it really easy for average people to be able to build these advanced tact plans. And I got that idea and I put it on a shelf.
Nice.
Just like the old elf on the shelf. I have literally about 300 ideas on the shelf. I just constantly create ideas and put those things out. But then one day, one of my colleagues working with a large contractor said, "When are you building that software? We need it." And when he said this to me, I had said, and this was Jordan Christensen, who's now a partner with inTakt. And he said, "We need this software." So we set out and I saw the need and just started building it at its root level. And since then, that was in 2020. I started building it from my treehouse. I actually worked in a treehouse during the pandemic.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, let's pause there because that reminded me when we first came on, that's what I was going to use for our time filler. I would like for the whole world to know that Steve built a tree house with electricity during COVID, and that was his office. It was so rad. And I tried so hard I'm still trying, even though I'm not there anymore. I'm planting seeds with your corporate department about getting a treehouse office out there outside the Birmingham office. Because why not, right?
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. So it was pretty good timing on the treehouse. So we told our kids one time, we can go to Disneyland or build a treehouse. And they chose the treehouse.
Nice.
And so we went and built this thing. And then literally just a few months later, the pandemic hit. And when I build things for the kids, I know they get bored of them really fast. And so I overbuilt it. So I ran a 220 power feed down there, has its own Wi-Fi. It has Alexa controlled lights. It has even air conditioning in there. And I put a 10-foot ceiling in it. So it was like I could pull up some photos a little later, maybe put them in the comments or something.
Yeah, that would be great.
And made it really comfortable. So it worked out perfectly. So during the pandemic, things got too loud upstairs. I just packed up shop and put up an ultra-wide monitor down there and just had a beautiful view of a little creek. And one time I even had a river otter swim past me while I was working. It was crazy. I never realized they were here in Alabama.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I forget sometimes that I don't think you've been here like your whole life, right? And so one of my favorite things about Alabama is that we're number one for endemic species, and it's because of all of our biodiversity. So we're like top 5 for one of the most biodiverse states. So
I
that's
didn't know
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really started connecting with nature. It was pretty cool. Like I'd just be out there by myself, but get to know the squirrels really well. And
Yeah.
some would like sit and just watch me work through the window eating their, their little acorns. And then
Yeah.
that
You were the
sad day
TV,
came
right?
and I guess I didn't actually name them, but I knew them. I knew each of them individually.
I bet they have names.
There was that sad day when one of my favorite ones fell from a tree and landed on the deck, and
Oh, no.
it wasn't
That's a
okay.
fateful day. Well, they might need you might have to put in a squirrel trampoline. Have you seen those people that do the squirrel tracks? We're way off topic now, but it's okay. So I'll
Squirrel.
send you a video. Squirrel, squirrel. So, but there's a guy he puts out,
Is it Mark
like
Rober's squirrels obstacle
maybe,
courses?
yeah, the obstacle courses. That's what I was going for. Yeah. And so it's really fun. So you might need one of those.
All right. We'll
Yeah,
wait for the
fair.
next pandemic. I'll probably
Hey,
get there.
yeah. I heard a rumor. Maybe we'll have another one.
Huh.
All right. So there's our what is inTakt, and you guys will get to see some pictures of that awesome tree house later in the comments. It was pretty rad. I just think that if you've got some trees and an office, you might as well throw one outside and see if you don't get some people back in the office that way.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. So back to what we were here for, right? Santa, I hope it's okay with him that we took a little squirrel break. So what exactly then does inTakt do? What does it help people with?
So it helps to accommodate the process. So there's many steps to building a TAC plan and also managing, maintaining one. So inTakt, it holds all the tasks, all the logic. It lets you automatically generate large bulk quantities of tasks and repetitive. With TAC planning, the beautiful thing is you make it repetitive and predictable and allows you to bulk create all those. But not only that, but with all the logic, so you can export it to P6, meeting all your scheduling requirements. You can load quantities, cost, all those items to a TAC plan to see the histograms of those. You can do your weekly work planning and have that detail tie back to the master schedule. It helps you to print it well, even helps you to visually map on the 2D drawings where people are working at different points in time.
Okay. Very good. So then here's one of my favorite ones. So then if somebody's interested after they watch our demo today, how can they reach out and contact you?
So I'd send an email to info@intakt.app. We can also put a link in for that, or just go to our website, intakt.app, INTAKT.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And now we can get on to the most exciting part, which is demo time.
Yeah.
Oops. Let me get my banners together. There we go.
All right. I'm going to see what I can do to present my screen. Don't show the tips again. Always wait for those right times there. You know what? I'm going to go bold and share my entire screen. I never do that because normally I have an ultra wide.
Yes. Oh, I've heard that kind of makes it a little different there. So I'm going to add your screen to the stage now, and we can be all together.
Perfect. Do you have my screen now?
We do.
Awesome. So our main website, it gives a little bit of information. Some of the screenshots in that are outdated because we're constantly releasing new features. We have 6 full-time developers just constantly building new features based on what our clients need. We have over $10 billion of projects currently using inTakt, anything from hospitals to data centers to high-rise construction to even like affordable housing in Africa. Got a lot of really interesting projects.
I love that.
I can get into our pricing, but the cool thing about this is when you sign up to use inTakt, it's free. And every new project you build is free for the first month, no payment info or anything required. So it's just no risk. Just try it out and play with it. And after a month, if you like it, you can keep going.
Nice.
But I'll draw attention to this resources tab on our website on Learn TAC Planning. Here, I've boiled down TAC planning. There's a 56-page PDF that you can just download and use anytime you want. That just explains all the basics of how it works, beyond what we're going to be able to talk about on this call. But I even have PowerPoints you can download, and other information that you can use to present and teach your own teams about TAC planning. But
I love that you have that in there on the website, just in case somebody doesn't really understand the full kind of idea, or they just see it and they go, "Ooh, I want it to work like that," and then get to go read the background knowledge.
So the great thing about what we're doing is, we're teamed up with also inTakt, who's the largest TAC consultancy group in the world. Nice. And our biggest mission is just teaching people TAC planning. When people learn what TAC planning is and the advantages of it and how to do it, and they start looking for software, they usually pick our software. So like there are other competitors out there, but we're not worried one bit. And that's just more like half of the customers and people we talk with, we're just telling them what TAC planning is and teaching them how it works.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. Keep your eyes on your own paper, right?
Yeah. And it's pretty fun and exciting to be building these together. And we're getting some large enterprise clients, which is pretty exciting. But the biggest thing we're trying to sell is just the process of this new method of planning with a rhythm. So here's a kind of a main dashboard. I'm going to jump into a demo project here.
Yeah.
And inside this demo project, you notice we have different phases. That's these expandable sections here. And each one of these phases has a unique series of work. So for example, like this rough-in, you would have like the layout, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, rough-in. And then, I have maybe a site work phase, which that one should actually be, I should drag that one above the rough-in.
I was going to say, I'm excited to see, for folks to see how easy it is to move tasks around. Like you just resorted that.
Yep. And the beautiful thing is when I change the order of these tasks, like doing that in P6 or Microsoft Project just takes years. Oh, wow. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, but just breaking all those individual ties, retying them back together, then to make it really automatic. And it's like, tap on this task here, I can see how it's tied in. And if I was just to go into TAC settings and change the order of these, it would just automatically break all those ties and retie all the new ties. And you can make hundreds of ties just instantly. It's just a really big time saver, and also really good for people that don't do scheduling every day. But you'll notice for each task, we have a lot of information, like tons of data that each of these tasks can hold. And we could get into some of that a little later. We also have work plan. So with the work plan, this gets those tasks and it basically expands them out and lets us add additional detail below the tasks. And just a really simple, like drag and drop type of functionality where I can add new tasks. I can status them just by tapping and done or not done or clearing that. And we make it really easy to replicate all these subtasks, kind of the detailed week to week tasks. And we also make it, I'll probably find some better examples, but with this project I could just hit this button here and I could print out a 3-week, a 4-week, a 5-week look ahead. And also see some what are these called? Some roadblocks popping up as well, like some of the items that we need to get resolved before those tasks take place. Because TAC plans are so repetitive and so predictable, they're really easy to read, and you're not so worried about the day-to-day straightening out the schedule. You're more worried about clearing the path ahead. And so it makes it really easy to do that. And you'll notice in this example, we also have zone maps that got included. So on this single sheet of paper, there's a 5-week look ahead. Let's go to a 4-week. And then we have all the zone maps of where people are working, plus all the roadblocks and what they are. And so we're all about, and we're actually reworking that section right now to add tons more functionality to it. Okay. I can show you the overall project printing and all that as well. But one of our crowning features is the zone map. So I'm going to jump over to maybe the rough-in phase, show a grid view. And because we've defined what these zones are, like where they are in the schedule versus where they are in the drawings, it's so dead simple to do. I could even demo how to build it all, how it all works. But I can just drag this timeline back and forth and see where all these different crews working at different points in time.
Yeah, that's really amazing to be able to just kind of follow the work by task, right?
And so it makes it really easy for everybody involved, not only the owner and the contractor, but the trade partners can go through and filter and see where they're expected to work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's more about the collaboration. We're not like telling them, hey, here's how you're going to build it. Like building a TAC plan, it's all about getting the buy-in from everybody and getting, together. You're establishing rather than making them run at a sprint and then walk and then have nothing for them, then tons of work for them. Like you mentioned the word flow planning. It's all about creating that flow. You'll notice this layout task just goes from zone to zone to zone, consistently, constantly working. I alluded to that section on our website that talked about, what is TAC planning? How does it work? The PDFs they're there. I also made the books free or on Amazon. I do them at cost. So you can buy paperback there if you want. But the PDF sitting there, but there's tons of methods that go into making it so that you can flow smoothly with all the trades and balancing those work packages by what you stick in those packages. Thinking of that assembly line, the robots and that on assembling cars, they carefully balance and package the right amount of work into each one of those stations. And so we can do the same with the construction site. Even if it's not completely repetitive, you can still balance those tasks, and you're also balancing the zones. I guess I could go into a big old thing on that, on how you balance these zones. They have equal amount of work in each of these. Balance the tasks, there's equal amount of work. And that allows you to create that smooth, repetitive, even flow where you're not sprinting and walking. You're running like at a constant, sustainable pace, like you're running a marathon. And every trade partner that gets bought into this process and uses it, they'll wish for it on the next project. Like it's like everybody wins.
Yeah. That's what I was curious while you were just showing there. And I was wondering how many, like what it's like for the trade partners. So they're enjoying it then.
Yeah, it's all about making the trade partner successful. And when you make the trade partner successful, you make the whole project successful. So just imagine if you walked onto a job and you knew that your manpower is going to be completely flat the whole way. I'm going to jump to maybe another example here. I'll go to just this training. I have a lot of really cool live projects that I don't have permission to share. But I'll jump into this one here and I'll filter out, it looks like I already have a filter built for a mechanical trade. And our resource curves are predictably just flat. So that's a beautiful thing for a trade partner to come in and just say, I'm going to have 6 people working constantly until they're done. And it just typically causes much higher efficiency. So my partner, Jordan, on one of his first TACT projects, working for a large general contractor, they built 2 identical projects side by side and did one with traditional CPM, one with TACT. They both happened to finish at the same time, and they had the same contractors. But the contractors were 15%. I know, like most software, they talk about 50% more efficient and all these BS numbers that they're offering, but they were legitimately 15% more efficient. So it cost them 15% less to build the project with the TACT plan versus the CPM, and everyone was much less stressed. It went much more smoothly. And I'll say that like that's real, like that being 15% more efficient.
Especially when you have comparison data like that, you're right. Like usually people are pulling out those statistics just so that they look pretty, but when you do the same building with the same trade partners and the same everything, and the only difference, right, is just that little piece.
Yeah. And when you're like, honestly, sincerely, realistically, 15% more efficient, that's humongous.
Yeah,
I see all these Silicon Valley startups like talking about just throwing these outlandish numbers out there and just chasing unicorns. But I mean,
well, claiming they have a unicorn.
Yeah, there are real gains to be had. Let's see, I guess while I'm showing, I guess I don't have cost loaded on this one, but I wonder if I have quantities. Let's see. So like lineal feet of piping, on these different trades, or there's all sorts of different viewing options that we've created. I can show something that's really hard to do on Excel is just bam, I'm going to show the days off. There you go. Yeah, roadblocks, legends, all that stuff. There's so many things I could go into, but I don't know if that's the.
I know. Well, let's take it back. Let's say somebody was just setting up a project. What would it look like for them? What would they have to do to get to the pretty part where you have everything kind of flowing and obstacles set up and all that? So how do they get there?
Excellent. I like this direction here. So the cool thing is every person watching this call, you can just create a free account just right then and there. Just go to inTakt.app and hit new project. And you know what? I'm going to do this in our staging environment. So it's going to show what it's going to look like. So I have an enterprise license, believe it or not. Actually, if anyone sneaky sees this, they can get into our staging environment. But if you do and find flaws, let us know before we release to production. So this is what it would look like for an average person. So if I did a free project and let it expire, just go inactive. Okay. And the great thing is you still have view-only access to it forever.
Nice.
And you can always reactivate it if you want. So it's really good for pre-con and things like that. That if you want to just build a schedule, you can just build it for free in pre-con. So if you don't win the project, you're still not paying anything.
Yeah, that part, because that's hard, isn't it? All that pre-con work that gets done. And then sometimes you don't get the project, right?
Yeah. Let's see what we want to call this. You know what? I'll just call it something creative here. inTakt demo. And
I love that name.
I'll have it start on Monday and hit next. And then it's going to ask for a little description. And I'm just going to say, yeah, you're really clever there. But if you put in the value of the project, say this is a $50 million project or 1 million or 5 million, I don't know what we want to say as our example. Or if it's like a housing development or something like that, you just put in the contract value, the forecasted duration of it, phone number, a company name, and how you heard about us. And watch this. If I hit this calculate pricing, boom. Like you don't need an annoying salesperson. So I don't enjoy sales and don't set aside time for that. And so we've just automated it all. And so crazy thing is like we don't reach out to people. It's all inbound. Like all of our sales are just people just coming to us. And notice there's a free plan, good for 1 month. Boom, you just hit that, no questions asked. It'll just let you play with it for a month. But it also gives you the pricing right from the get-go. So you're not going to build some schedule and then like have some guy with a hook pull it on you and say, ha, we got you.
Yeah, or surprise, even worse. Yeah.
So you know what your monthly cost would be, but then you also know what if you can just pay the whole project up front, just like that. And it's fully automated to where if you do monthly and all that, you can cancel anytime, no questions asked. Just like we make it, I'm probably a bad salesperson because I make it too friendly to the customers. But I'm just going to choose the free plan. And from here, let's say it's a multi-story like hotel or something. I'm just going to say level 1. Inside that, I'm going to break it up into maybe 4 zones.
Yeah, we need somewhere to put all those elves.
Exactly. I've got to get back on theme. And then I'll duplicate this for, I don't know how many floors. Whoops.
That's amazing right there. So I've only done this in a couple of softwares, right, where I've had to kind of create locations so that I could tag them to other modules, right? And say on the first floor in the bathroom, this is the inspection, right? But with this, you put in the information one time. And this is really handy for all those, this is exactly what you're saying, like these multifamily things where we're just kind of doing the same thing on every floor, but we don't have to type it in every floor. We can just type it in the one time and ask it to copy for us.
It's a beautiful thing. And that's if you really take the time to set up and balance a plan. So other processes, and I could refer you to all sorts of different books and trainings on how to balance the zones and figure out how many zones you should have per floor. My general rule of thumb is, like kind of to keep it below 5,000 square feet per zone. But I mean, it all depends on the type of project, the circumstances. I could refer some really good books as well.
That would be awesome.
And actually, in early January, there's going to be a large training on inTakt. We've only just put up initial warnings of it. We have over 200 people signed up for that training. It's going to be a 2-hour and just go more detailed into the nuts and bolts. I'm going to add some tasks here. And so for this first task, maybe I'll have it be, sorry, I don't know what happened to my mouse there. Maybe make a layout task. And notice how fast it is, other than my typing. Add new tasks. But I could also cheat, and I'll copy from another project.
Well, that's my favorite.
From, let me think. I'll copy from that lean tech training.
There we go.
And I'll do that phase there. Looks like, okay, not a ton of tasks in that phase. But I'm going to delete these tasks just to clean it up a little bit. It looks like that was on a 3-day takt. I'm making this more confusing than I need to. But you'll notice on the right here, I can set the takt period. Like, what's that drum beat? And I just took it down to the 3 days. So there's only 3 days per task. And I can go 4 or 5, but I can make exceptions. So I could say this overhead mechanical, I'm going to make it 10 days, double it. But to offset that, I'm going to have a second crew on there. And you'll notice at this level, I can load in. So anything we build in this screen in the takt settings, it duplicates all this information throughout the schedule. So it's going to be able to run this all the way through. I can, there's all sorts of crazy options we can get into. We have a YouTube channel that shows each feature like really briefly. And man, so many things I'd love to show you guys, but I know you're not into the weeds like I am. I can load quantities and costs, all those things at a generic level, have it repeat, but then I can go through and fine tune it, within the schedule. I can add tags, and the tags allow you to filter things, but also set granular permissions. So I can set people to only be able to edit the sprinklers tasks. Like for example, I can build custom checklists on the tasks, all sorts of different things, but I'll just stop there. And you notice the exceptions are now popping up. All these are on a 5-day, but this one's on a 10-day with 2 crews that are going to leapfrog each other. Then you can just really easily set, work days, click on or off. And as I'm building it, so this is considered a phase here. And as I'm building this phase, which is a unique sequence of work, so we can build tons of these different phases depending on which parts of the building or which scopes we're doing. But it's already telling me the end date of the project. But since I'm not a complete Grinch, I'm going to add in Christmas. This is the holiday list. And you know what? Wow, I can't believe how close Christmas is.
I know. I just realized, oh, good. Your calendar starts on Monday.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, we might switch that up. It's kind of more the year, actually. I'll go from the 23rd. I'm going to be like really kind and give them the whole week off. Those
yeah, they worked all year. You might as well, right?
Then they're back to 24/7 after that.
Yeah.
I notice the holidays, you can set them as a range rather than a bunch of individual days like other software would make you do. But it's already calculating when it will finish, how many days it's going to go. So you can make adjustments and all that on the fly. And actually, I'm going to rename this phase. Still overhead. I'm going to call this, actually, I'll just call this like rough in. I don't even know what I should call it, but there's that. And I think I actually lost my save button there.
Oh no. It's probably being covered up by one of the screen share bars.
There we go. So I'm going to hit the save button and boom. Now we have this task running on that 5-day, and then we have the these much longer tasks. Actually, did I run that at a 5 or a 3?
And I like these different colors then. So that's part of the customization then. If you wanted to change those colors, then we'd do that on that previous screen when you were kind of picking everything out for those tasks, right?
Yep. And so I can go through it, customize to our heart's content. Let me actually, not sure why I went back down to the 3-day tack period, but bring that to the 5. So I can jump in here. I can grab this color and I could change it to a beautiful orange.
Nice.
And I hit save here. You notice now I have these 5-day tasks, and then I have the 10-day tasks that are now leapfrogging between those. And I've created this phase that quickly. So right here we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times like 16 or something like that. So we've got like, not a very good calculator, but I've probably built at least 80 tasks fully linked. Actually, probably well over 100 tasks there. Not very good on the fly in my head math. Let's see, 5 times 4 is 20 times 5 is 100. Okay, so that's 100 tasks right there.
Nice.
Fully linked, and I can do the statusing of that. But what I'll do really quick, so I'm going to add a second phase. Man, so I'm in what's the staging environment here. This is where we test and we break things and we try out all sorts of different moves.
I love breaking stuff.
So that was kind of dumb of me to build this in the testing environment. So I'm sure I'll show my developers and they'll be like, Steve, what were you thinking?
Steve, haven't you heard there are no bad experiments?
You know what? I might even just take this back to our production environment. See if I've got a good test here. I'll just jump into this project. So like I built that one phase, I could come through and I can add additional phases. Looks like this one's getting a more detailed list to it, tasks. But it definitely looks like a demo project because I have all these like different steps here.
There's a milestone in there.
Yep, there we go. So we can add milestones. So I can drag a milestone into here, for example. I could name it, finish something. And I can add a description to it. I can do all this. I can add the vertical line that's going to show up there. Right now it has a constraint, so it's constraining to that date. But instead, I could actually grab it and say, you know what, we'll make that task a predecessor and link to that. Hit this add milestone button, and voila. There's that milestone there. You can also have things don't fit right into this, these repetitive tasks. I can add unique one-off tasks into the mix. And I can turn it into a buffer or delay task. I can add big description of here's what is, put whatever duration I want, all sorts of options there. But yeah, I'll just throw some, you know what, I'll actually leave it without links just to show an interesting feature. I could go through and say I want to sandwich it between these tasks. I'm going to hold down the control button, click those tasks in the sequence, and in my plan tab, I can say, let's link those in a sequence. Boom.
Nice.
I have a lot of like really easy to do, to manipulate and create all these different scenarios really quickly. Adding roadblocks, for example, I can say there's a roadblock. We're not expecting it to be resolved until last day of the year. And it's our classic RFI 231.
I think I heard about that one I was perusing the videos on your YouTube, and I think I heard about RFI 231.
I'm not very good at like randomizing numbers. So that's the number that always comes out for some reason. Then I can select all the tasks that are affected by it, hit this add roadblocks, and boom, they're showing up right there. I'm gonna get those task names back on the screen. And now as I look at these particular tasks, I'll have, I think it's on our tracking tab. We have that RFI showing up there. But I'll just jump into our reports really quickly. So in the reporting tab, now I have.
Hey, Steve, before we go here, can you please go back to the previous screen? I just want, can you show people what happens if we have a snow day? Not that we would ever in Alabama, but other people could have a snow day. So what happens if we can't, something, I guess people call it a rain delay, but I'm excited and talking about snow. So what happens for a snow delay? How do we redo our schedule?
So there's a couple things we could do. We could either insert that delay into the calendar, which is an approach some people would use in P6 or other places, or I could create a delay task to show that, I can do both ways really quick, just for fun. So I'll add a holiday. I'm just going to say snow day. And it's going to go from, we have all that holiday. They'll say it's on January 8th for some reason. And make it finish that same day. Hit boom. And then it's actually skipping it in here to not show that interruption of flow. But if I show the days off, we can see that that snow day right here. But I'm going to show another way that I would build this is I'd create this one-off task, and I'll just maybe put it down at the bottom just for clarity. Snow day. We got to figure out a good color for this. We can even create.
We can't have yellow snow.
I was thinking about it.
I got so nervous. I heard you thinking about it.
Right, go to red. I'm going to bring this down to a single day. And so there's our snow day. And we could even just create like a separate zone to track all our snow days in if you want something like that. And let's say it follows this task. I'm going to go to the plan tab. This task, I'll just create this link really fast. And then I'll say from the snow day, let's say all these tasks, boom, boom. Maybe this method won't yield exactly the results I want, but I could link them all. Yeah, actually I did that in the wrong order there. I could link a bunch of tasks all to the same predecessor here. Boom. Hit that button there. Oh, that's where then I click. Okay, so I'm I'm a bit rusty in my own software. That's pretty bad.
No, I was gonna say, to be fair though, Steve, I mean, you're not in here scheduling every day, right?
Correct. So
you're hanging out with those 300 ideas on the shelf.
Then I'll link it to that predecessor there. Statusing, we do interesting stuff with that. So this is our lock line period. If I get a single task here and say that it's actually going to take longer than expected, 6 days instead of 5 days for that task, it's then going to ask me for a reason for variance. You know what? I'm just going to own it. Say it was bad planning. Those are like the lean, like most common reasons for delay. And I can put a little excuse or a thing in here. I'll just say I'm just bad at planning.
Same.
And
I make a great plan. It's just that following it,
hit save on that.
Yeah.
And you'll notice now it got that layout task and actually extended it, and it pushed out the subsequent tasks.
Mm-hmm.
We can do things, and then we also do something. We mark clean handoffs, so like tracking. I can the person completing the work can say, I'm done with putting these fire sprinklers in. The person who received that task, that's the next trade, they check up and say, yep, they did complete their work and get out of the area. So I had the work to myself, but it was a little messy. A little note in there. Cool thing is when you tap on these notes of like done, received, it tells you who it is that clicked it and when they clicked it.
Yeah, I like that. And a nice little audit trail.
And then someone on your side, on the general contractor side or whoever would click approved that, yes, that was a clean handoff. If you don't want to go through all that, you just have like one person tracking the schedule, they can just click these, buttons to show them all at once. Oh, and we actually just added the new multi-select feature I should have been using the whole time.
Oh,
where I could have
grab all the tasks.
Yeah, just completed them all at once.
Nice.
And then if I click on this lock line here, lock progress, boom, it grabs that, moves it forward. 85% of my tasks had clean handoffs. So this is kind of like the PPC of TAC planning, tracking clean handoffs. But if I didn't have one that showed a clean handoff, that would count against that percentage. And also in the reports tab, we're able to see clean handoffs over time. So that's just how efficiently areas are moving from one trade to the next. The variance by task, this is a cool thing. So we're used to having reasons for variance, like for each update, what are the main reasons for this task delayed? But now, since our tasks are packaged repetitively, we can see which of the tasks that are struggling the most.
Oh, nice.
This one, it's looks like these layout tasks are struggling.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the roadblocks log showing. This gives you a place where you can look at all your roadblocks coming up and sort and filter any way you want. I can, sort by the finish dates or whatever. I can see who's responsible, all these things, or mark these R5. Oh, I had an R5232 as well.
Now, I really like this idea of a roadblocks log because sometimes we have, and I can't call them nosy because it's their right to know, right? But sometimes we have folks that want a list and they want to see all those reasons. Or let's say you're debating a change order, something like that, and you've got to pull out, a list of all the snow days or how you got to be at this juncture, right? Please prove to me why you need a change order.
Yeah. And then we have, we're constantly building new features. We're currently building like amazing new printing options that just give you tons of flexibility for look aheads, but overall project printing, making that a lot better. But then we're coming up with a Zoom feature that turns into like Miro board. So you can just, when you get these monstrous schedules of just 10,000 tasks, which we have some crazy big projects in here. It gives you that control and ability to visualize those, but the procurement log is coming up after that. And it's going to be a really advanced tracking all the procurement, but also creating it in a schedule and tying it to the schedule and giving you all those warnings and all that along the way. So there's some really exciting features coming.
Yeah, that's really rad because everybody's worried about their materials nowadays. It's not, are they going to get to the site? When are they going to get to the site? Are they going to be in here? You like this play on words? Are they going to be intact when they get on site? Right. Or am I going to have to order it again? Is it defective? Who knows? And then is it going to be there when the trade partner is ready for it? Right. Yep. Or is my trade partner going to be ready when it gets here?
And so now we'll have a procurement log, typical to like Excel spreadsheet procurement logs I see people build or procurement logs in your project management software of choice. But here it'll just tie directly to the schedule, just in a really clean way where you're going to instantly see as you're updating the delivery dates, what it's going to affect and by how much.
Okay. Awesome. I like this. And so what I'm hearing you say too is that for your customers and clients that you have, you're still avidly listening to feedback and their experience of it so that you can make it even better.
Yep. We have quite the list of feature requests that we go through. We have an interesting way of prioritizing all this. I'm going to look at development prioritization. And so this is literally our list of customer requests.
Mine are right there at the bottom. Yeah.
Shortage of them. But we have a way of ranking the priorities of them. So like what the user demand is for those, what impact it's going to have on the product, if it's going to affect sales at all, and then how much effort it's going to take to build it. And we use that to figure out what's the most low-hanging fruit that's going to help the most people. And we take the notes and we really think about them. Then we start designing them. And then as the designs are ready, then we start the development process. Actually, we need to update the sheet because some of these features are already built now.
Nice.
But that's kind of a little look look inside the gears of inTakt. We have a
Yeah, thanks
really
for
great
letting. Go
product
ahead.
manager. So I have a lot of things that keep me busy. So we have like a really great team that shares the load. So we have a
That's really
great product manager. We have a really great product designer. Our product
cool.
manager is in Colombia, along with a lot of our development team. We have our CTO is in New Zealand, our designers in Canada, and it's a really, really powerful team. And then we have one of our main sales reps in Omaha. We've got partners
All
out
over.
in Arizona,
Oh,
and
nice.
then projects all around the world.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty rad too. Is when you can help people globally, right? So we've got one question that came in here. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but Jesse says, "What is the tact time on making delicious tacos?"
Ooh, that's a really important question. So, you know
That's
what?
critical, isn't it?
If you're making a high volume of tacos and you've got a way to divide the labor out, I would say it's funny, like some projects in Europe get down to like hourly tact times.
Oh wow.
Um, and that's like a kind of one of those next level things. Like I know some finished projects and all that are getting all the way down to that granularity. But for taco making, I'd even set it like if you were like working at a Chipotle or something along those lines, I'd say you can get down to the 10-second tact.
There
You
you go. That'd be
break
pretty
down to even stations. Yeah, the tortilla maker, you've got our heater, whatever. You've got,
yeah.
yep.
That would be a good one. And then our only other one was from because we saw Natasha. She was saying this feature's amazing. And then Daryl will take some southern warmth up here in Toronto, Canada. So thank you for tuning in, Daryl. We appreciate you.
I had a background queued up with snow in the background and all that, but I knew I wouldn't be able to sell it with inTakt or sell
Oh,
it with Alabama weather.
with Alabama. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we could have thought you were traveling, right? Right. So I'm going to put us back on the screen here, Steve. And I heard that Santa had some kind of surprise that he was wanting you to share with everybody. Can you tell us more about that?
Yep. So this is one of my startups, and like I said, I've got a big shelf of ideas and projects and products that I'd like to build. Like I'm a really boring person because I don't have too many hobbies, but I love to make things. I love to create stuff.
Including potato launchers.
Yep. Made
Yes. Yeah.
potato cannon pinata with my son a little while back.
Oh,
Good
I
time
didn't
with
see the
that.
pinata part.
It was really cool. Let him design it, and it was a really cool design. It set up at the target, you hit the target, and causes this big wood box to open up. We might do
That's
potato cannon
awesome.
pinatas for the New Year's as well. But one of the tools, so my big passion project, like the thing I want to build before I die,
Yeah.
it's called Concourse, and it's something I've
Okay.
been pondering for actually probably 15 years now since I've gotten into project controls and building big power plants and other large structures. It basically what it does is it's going to be like a decked out scheduling tool. So I'm all about scheduling, but also a full project management suite as well, deeply integrated where all the data talks to all the data to where it's extremely intelligent to where like when you're looking at the schedule, you can see all the information you need to build the entire project right there in the tasks. So if I'm like focused on one task, I can zoom in on that task and I have all the information I need. So I'm not like looking at all these scattered sources. I'm not looking at some RFI logs. I'm not looking over what are the submittals and this and that. It's all funneled in to a single schedule. But to make that possible, we needed an infinite zoom interface. Think about Google Maps. We have terabytes and terabytes of data, but with 2 fingers, you can navigate it without any problem because of that infinite zoom interface.
Okay, so that's kind of a little. So when you were switching back to inTakt, sorry guys, I remembered a squirrel. But switching back to inTakt, you were saying that it's going to work more. You're looking at morphing it more into like mural, and so I loved that because you can kind of like then you can get that bigger picture for those huge projects, right? Because it's not that it's going to be every project. It might be the biggest project you have for this year, or you may just be the type of company that does big projects all the time. Right. But when you've got that much data coming into one area, it becomes a really big deal.
Yep. And so we're constantly looking at ways to visualize larger amounts of data. Let me present Concourse, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's see it.
Share my entire screen.
I think I'll put us back up. It lost your screen.
Boom. So I'm resharing now.
There we go.
All right, perfect. So here's a look at just the general schedule interface. And so the cool thing is we're designing mobile first. So just imagine this on a phone, where if I double tap, I can zoom in. I can also use my mouse to zoom in and out. And it can just go on forever. So we've loaded up, 6,000 line item schedules and that in here. And you can see the entire schedule on one single screen. See all the time frames. And as you're zooming in, you'll notice that the time scale goes along with that. If I zoom out here, I'm going to grab this info tab. And so within this info tab, I can see, what I have in the feed here.
Oh, how fun.
Different shots. As I zoom in, it gets more and more contextual. So let's say I'll zoom into the foundations. And as I tap on each one of these, I can get, and so this is like a feed where I can just, post any information I want there. And it's going to be visible to everybody looking at that schedule. So we have a details tab, the photos, of course, attach all sorts of different types of files, RFIs. That's kind of hinting at some other features we've been building out. Some really cool interfaces for those that you can keep your eyes on if you want to follow Concourse. But it's it's well on its way. And then to top it off, we also have a really powerful web-based model engine, tying this to inTakt. So this just kind of giving you a taste to get you guys a little preview. Zoom into structural. And we have,
you know what this reminds me of, Steve? Sorry to interrupt. This reminds me of the time I came to the lab and I brought all the sweet accounting department people that I could tug away from their desk. And we tried out the virtual reality headsets, and you could like move the features in the hospital room, right? That was so rad. This is what that looks like.
So yeah, it's and this platform, it will be compatible. So it is compatible with VR and extended reality, as they call it, when you're combining AR and VR and all that. I can zoom into this and even like tap on these different elements and see what they are. So this gets your schedule, turns it into, I call this story mode. So now any person that has a finger can just, we call it one finger BIM. You just can just double tap around the schedule and just look at it, and it shows you what you're looking at while you're looking at it. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense with all this.
That picture is telling your story. That is really rad. I'm not like offline. I have questions about like, how'd you do that?
Then we have the classic play button and all that. Just really show like, this is just like the scope that I'm worried about, that I'm focused on. I can just zoom in on that and see, and here we go. The exciting stuff's coming up on this little window. And notice I can still navigate in a web browser at 60 frames per second. We could do a whole show on this model engine, what makes it work. It's not using Forge or one of these other big platforms. It's a proprietary, built out, uses really interesting, powerful intelligence to make it possible to get this huge model that has full MEP in it. Actually jump out of the HVAC here. Maybe I'll go into plumbing. We all love plumbing. Got to work on some links here in the 4D model, but yeah, it's really, really powerful model engine that fits onto an average computer in a web browser. But this stuff is coming. With the schedule portion of it, we're actually going to be releasing this to the public towards the end of January, and there's so many more features to this that we're not jumping on. Let's see, the float heat map.
It's just a present it's a winter present.
Oops, sorry, I'm going to type in concrete, for example, and instantly I'm seeing where all the concrete is in this schedule. I'm going to plop that out of the way. that's really cool. Like just making searching and filtering really, really easy for average people. We have the ability to show revisions and skid marks, and by the end of January, be able to completely create schedules from scratch. Right now, we have it set up so you can import from any source. It'll take P6 project, it'll take ASTA, it'll take anything. And then another cool feature is, and we'll get that one queued back up, where I can zoom in any part of the schedule and share a QR code, and anyone else can jump in and have view-only access to it. We have all sorts of things coming there, but yep, late January is going to be opened up to the public just to start using it. And the only thing we're asking is feedback.
Nice. So. Yeah, I love a good, I don't know. It flew out of my brain just as fast as the squirrels come, it left. So whatever it is, I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. Okay. So if people want to, because we didn't really go over this earlier. So if people want to try out Concourse in January for they're going to start the new fresh, how do they go try it out?
So the location of it, we keep it at concourse.tools is the name of the tool.
Easy enough.
And so here we have a little preview that'll show you actually some more features than I showed you today. Even crazy thing is I even show our roadmap transparently, so you can see all the current and upcoming features. I'm not sure why it's loading so slow, but yeah, there's there's so many features I didn't get into. But that's
all right.
But if you're interested in looking at it, concourse.tools, and look at the roadmap, and you'll be able to see like where it's at and where it's headed.
Mm-hmm. And then we only have a few more minutes. So if you've got any questions for Steve or myself, which I can't imagine what I would answer, but Steve has some good answers, and just go ahead and drop them in the chat. And if not, then we're going to run our mouths for the last couple of minutes and hope everybody has a very good winter break. So Steve, what was your favorite part for today?
I don't know. It was a really great conversation. I think I enjoyed just sitting around the Christmas tree and getting warm.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to go start my fire. Here we go. Natasha again, thank you for chiming in. She says, I like the roadmap feature. I will be checking this out. So thank you for that. Yeah, that's a good one. I maybe it was what I was going to say earlier. I bet it was about I love transparency, right? Because now people can kind of, number one, they don't have to tell you, hey, Steve, you left out such and such. I really need this feature, because they know that you're already working on it.
And one thing I found is, or I've heard and believe in, is if I could share my roadmap, I can tell everyone what I'm going to build and where I'm going to build and all that. The competitors can get a hold of it, and they're not going to do anything about it. Because they've already got their own roadmaps. They already have their own visions and futures and that. So we're building what we build and letting the community be a part of it.
I love that. Yeah, that's it. It's supposed to lead to greater innovation is what I hear. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can't imagine how that works, right? Freedom of information and innovation go together. What?
You get a lot of feedback, a lot of ideas. Like being one person in a silo, it's so tough to foresee all the needs, even great ideas. And teaming up with the community, you get tons of better feedback and ideas and know what you should build before you build it.
That part, yeah. And I love that you'll never tear me away from if you build it, they will come, because that's what it is. So I love just observing needs in the industry, or if you're at a particular company, right? Something that your group and your team needs, and then just do it, right? The worst thing that's going to happen is you try another idea, right?
Yep. And just plan on most of your ideas failing. And that's okay. Learn from them as quickly as you can.
That part. You got to add, and that's okay. Yeah. Very good. All right, Steve. Well, thank you so much. We're going to let you get back to the North Pole. We know you have some very important things to do today. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll probably see you sometime next year, and we'll have you back on for a deeper dive into Concourse.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Thanks. I stayed on that button.